Gentlemen, allow me to direct your attention to the center stage, where you will bear witness to terrifying sights that will haunt you till the day you die. Behold the Circus Diabolique, and let the nightmare begin.
Hello darlings, welcome back to another Ashencast. It's that time of the week again, and at a late hour, and I'm sat here with coffee, and also a martini rosso, because why the hell not? But moving on, this week, it is the Halloween special, of sorts, you could say, as everyone's running around trying to get their hands on the witch outfit, which, as everyone knows, clearly is the only mount in the game. And so we find ourselves amongst the nobility of Divinity Streets this week, with a representative of the high society, no less. Why don't you go and introduce yourself?
I go by the player name Bria, but my character in game is named Erikah, and I run High Society.
Woo! As you may have guessed, I did not mention my co-host, because unfortunately, the spooky curse that is the co-host position has struck again. She's just not here. I tried the ball and chain, came back, it was gone. I really do, ladies and gentlemen, but the position is just cursed. I'll add some sort of Halloween laughter in the background for you all. But yes, moving on. We are back once more, as always. Thank you, there we go, special effects. Just like to mention that I would list all our commenters, but the fact is, everyone's in. It's one of those weeks. We're having some fun. Everyone's in game or up to some kind of shenanigans. Damn it, I used that word again. If you listen to last week's podcast, you know why I keep mentioning shenanigans. It's just such a nice word, isn't it? But yes, anyway, moving on. Recent events. Now, this is a throw-out to the entire room, including our guests, just to make everyone nice and casual and relaxed. What's been going on? Any recent shenanigans? I'm using the damn word again.
Don't make me get a broom.
Oh, not the broom again.
Yes, the broom.
That's how he enforces the law in the guild, just so you all know.
I will declare shenanigans.
But yes, I think that's the 5th time I've mentioned the word now in the opening of the podcast. God damn it. But yes, moving on to the actual questions. Here we go. I'm going to try. Bear with me. Here we go. Any recent events or just recent fun that anyone wants to discuss, throw out there, get some casual conversation going, because make our guests feel nice and relaxed. This is an informal setting, not an inquisition. So everyone relax and just throw out some ideas. What's going on with everyone?
There was the October expansion, which was pretty awesome.
How does everyone feel about that? Because, for example, I'm a complete noob when it comes to lore and stuff. So what is this stuff about the Mad King? Is it just fun holiday lore, or was there a Mad King?
Okay, I meant
there was a Mad King.
I meant our expansion, but yes, go on.
He was a king of Kryta, and he went insane. I think he ended up cutting off some heads. And actually, he hadn't been seen for 250 years, but he's coming back this year. And we're finding out more about him, like his name and why he went insane and things like that. So it's pretty interesting.
So he's actually an official piece of the lore then, because I've got to admit, this is probably sounding like it was completely stolen from Game of Thrones. It probably is, because unfortunately I've been saturated in that stuff recently, and I mention it every podcast. I'm clearly a fan. But I love the idea of making a knight character. Well, someone who has knightly values, because, like as we said, there's no actual solid chivalry code in Guild Wars 2, apart from the ones individual. And one of the ideas was, I was trying to think, what on earth could I have? So I thought maybe it's like some ancient shame of the family line was going to be they were like the house guards of the Mad King or something. I mean, does that sound viable? That does sound so... I listened to it, and then I watched Game of Thrones and thought, I've just nicked everything from this. Well done, Gray. Well done, Pat.
Well, Mad King Thorn was one of the many kings of Kryta, and he actually lived around the same time as Palawa Joko before Palawa Joko became a Lich. And there's actually a group, I believe, called the Lunatic Court that's trying to make him. He's literally a ghost that pops up around every time during Halloween. And they were actually trying to give him like a body. So it was going to technically make him a Lich, and there's a lot of story behind it. But I believe that Thorn was actually killed by his own people because he was such a tyrant.
Oh, so it happens a lot, it seems. Here, I mean, any particular name you want to be addressed during this podcast, by the way?
Me?
Yeah, any specific name you want to be addressed by, because, you got about 3.
Erikah is fine, sorry.
Okay, Erikah, there it is. Just so you all know, Diligent, the guest is Erikah. I'm pointing at her because clearly I'm using video. I do this every podcast. I'm very visual. I mean, what you don't see is that I wave my arms about. I'm swilling on the seat. I'm taking sips of a drink. You don't see all this. It's terribly wasted energy. But you know what? Sod it. I'm having a good time. But So yes, anything particular you liked about the update? Because I was really surprised by the amount of stuff at Lion's Arch.
To be honest, I always feel like really overwhelmed with event stuff because I feel like I have 5 days to do 1,000 things, and it's just kind of frustrating.
And it makes RP in Lion's Arch like impossible because the amount of overflow, because people running around everywhere. And unfortunately, the immediate time when you got given the gizmo in Lion's Arch and you have to start like scanning for signals, my first thought was Ghostbusters theme. It's been stuck in my head since. It's a plague upon my existence right now.
You guys haven't played during the Dragon Festival, have you? The lag during that in Guild Wars 1 is utterly freaking ridiculous.
Oh my god.
Like Vanilla WoW Ironforge leg shield bad.
Well, that's because everybody went AFK in those rings to get their lucky titles.
There was a glitch one time where someone accidentally caused like the summoning of like 6 emperors, and they're all just sitting there looking at each other.
Standoff.
May the real emperor stand up. So yeah, this is not as bad as it can get.
I just hope they can manage it a little bit. I mean, throwing out here to my usual standpoint, because like I said, I've not got a lot of experience with MMOs, apart from the usual. Stuff like in WoW, for example, some of them were quite poorly managed. I mean, okay, I think it was completely well known this was an RP server, right? And Gold Shard's got a pretty bad reputation as it is. So it's like, okay, we're doing an Easter event. Let's put the event in Gold Shard. It's like, you do realise why? Do you pay attention to your own game? No one wants to go in that place. But no, instead everyone was running around as tiny rabbits, which did cause the Rabbit Crusade, which was like millions of people just using the polymorph ability to become rabbits and to storm the place and try and attack the king. Rather interesting event, rather fun. But yes, I gotta say, first event at Guild Wars 2. I mean, how does everyone feel about it? I mean, I was impressed. I think it was well done. I mean, it looks fantastic when you're walking around Lion's Arch.
I was kind of upset because they had alluded to this big costume wars thing, so they made it sound like there were going to be 8 or 9 costumes available in the store, and there were only 2. And the costumes are actually that costume brawl thing, and it's very temporary. So I was kind of upset by that. I felt like they misled us.
I know the feeling, because you thought, oh, these new little items you can get. I mean, hell, I'm going to claim my free devil horns from the gem store, but that's about it.
Yeah.
I expected something a bit more extensive. I mean, hell, I would have killed for Gabriel to have an angel costume for a fancy ball or something, because that just would have been too perfect. But instead, it's just like, oh, you get these, you get the witch outfit. And how many people have got that outfit now?
Yeah, it really takes up.
Me. The Char, ladies and gentlemen, has the outfit. Because unfortunately with Halloween, it's always the stereotypical slutty prefix on all costumes. So unfortunately, I have terrible mental images right now. I have to admit.
You can always do what the gay community does during Halloween. It just goes fucking crazy with the stuff.
Mm.
I kind of prefer how they do it because they're a lot funner than just a bunch of girls walking around in skimpy outfits.
Yeah, true. I mean, around here it's relative. Well, I live in a partly dead town, to be fair. I mean, there's usually something big at the park around about Halloween. So, literally, I think in-game is the biggest Halloween festival I've seen. But then again, I'm at uni now, so most of Halloween usually involves people getting really, really drunk, which I don't object to. It's usually fun to hang out with them. Yeah. But not that I'm encouraging drinking, as I'm sat here sipping my martini. I'm not encouraging at all. No. Oh, it's tasty. Don't do drugs, kids. But yeah. Moving on. Let's get to the actual bulk of the questioning, rather than drowning our guest in our dribble. First things first. Name your character.
Well, it's Erikah. I only have one character, so...
I know that feel. I've got to say, I can... I mean, breaking away from the questions a little bit here, I mean, is that a personal preference? Because I, for one, I pour so much detail into one character, as people have even actually told me. I pour so much detail into them that I find it hard to dedicate time to any other character. Do you find it like that, or is that just me?
I'm sort of new to MMOs. I've played Lotro, Star Wars, and then this one, and every single one, I've had the same character, the same name, and all I do is change the history. So it's literally the same character, just going from game to game. I'm not even gonna lie, I'm really that lazy.
An RP Chameleon. I've seen it work on so many other people. I mean, hell, I know a couple of people that just have character prefixes they just stick on any world because it works. And if you enjoy it, there's no problem with that, as far as I'm concerned. Now, it's going to be interesting the way I word this. Would you say, I mean, what guild are you part of? Is the High Society a guild?
We do have a temporary event guild. Basically, it's called High Society Events, and it's only used for events. We're not really a guild. We're a non-guild organization, an NGO, and so it's more of a network, really. I really don't want it to be a guild. I don't want it to be a clique. I want it to be something where, like, we throw events and the entire server can come and participate. The only reason we have a guild is because of the limitations for say and emote. In Guild Wars, unfortunately, only about 20 people or so can see within the range if we have a lot. And then there have been events where we've had, I think, 100 people maybe is our most.
Ooh.
And so we have some really crazy events. So we had to make this guild just to ensure that everybody could see what's going on if something imperative comes up. But I try not to use it because I really don't like the exclusion that you have to join the guild in order to participate in the RP.
Oh, I understand that. I mean, from what talk I've heard of the society just here, you're a very open society, and it's fantastic. I mean, it's more of a community than anything else, which is fantastic. And I'd love to go into much more detail on that after a few questions, because we're going to focus on you a little bit first. You're not going to get away from us that easy. So, first thing is, let's learn a bit more about your character. Who is she? What's her in-character background? And then we're going to start interrogating you as a person. So, first things first. What about the character? Who is she? Who is this character? Like you said, you've changed and given her a new backstory. Now, who is she in Guild Wars 2 to you and to the rest of the world?
It's kind of hilarious because, like, not a lot of people know about her personal life. So she is a noble. I almost don't want to give away too much because on one hand she's like high society girl, a socialite, very rich, but in actuality she is like disowned from her family. She has no money. She has to hustle all the time. She doesn't have a house, and like nobody knows that. So there's two like completely different sides to her. Like the entire community pretty much is into this facade, and then in real life she's really screwed herself over for making a lot of bad decisions.
Oh, Gabriel would love to meet her. He's somewhat disowned, or rather, father refuses to hand over the inheritance. So definitely
Exactly.
They'd get on it. So, he's the black sheep of the family. So it's more a case of that. I'd love to see if we can bump into her during the one event. It'd be quite funny. But anything else you want to shed light on? I've heard so much about the high society, but unfortunately never been able to attend due to IRL stuff. So, as a character, what's she doing with the high society? Is she literally just one of those sort of like borderline con artists, just like floating around, like one of those sort of nobles where their promise is worth more than the actual money? So it'd be like, I've just had a lavish meal. In your name alone, they don't expect you to pay now, sort of thing. Very sort of late Victorian sort of era. Sort of the name is worth more. You don't just ask them to pay the bill. You'll be paid when they're ready, sort of thing.
Yeah, to be honest, it started out as she just was kind of like a party girl, living off of her money, so she would throw these, like, elaborate events in the city to just sort of, kind of do that social thing. My vision for it was sort of to, like, take Mean Girls and put it into Guild Wars 2, so I wanted her to be like that Kim Kardashian or Paris Hilton of Guild Wars 2 and do all these ridiculous things, and then it's turned into, now that she doesn't have any money, she has to keep signing contracts for events, but thankfully, like, she has the reputation to back it up now. So she has a lot of clients, and she's turned into, like, a event planner, sort of, for the elites of Guild Wars 2.
That's brilliant. High society, by proxy, is leeching off someone who doesn't have any money. I just find that immensely hilarious. I do love that dynamic of nobility RP that's coming, which is one of the reasons I just love the premise of the high society, because for the first time ever, at least for me in my experiences, I am seeing an established noble family within within reach and other places. The people actually have family lines and all sorts. The Ashenfold itself has made a number of societies. There's more been added to the mix, to my knowledge, because I'm getting slowly immersed in this, and I've had no experience in it, so it's all new and shiny to me. So all I can say is I'm immensely impressed already, just because walking into a city in an RP setting and knowing there is a structure. I mean, not feudal, because that's not the way the system works in Guild Wars 2, to my knowledge anyway. So it's just fantastic to actually see everything in place. There is a pecking order within reason, which I think is fantastic for dynamic RP.
Yeah, we have a lot of really great RPers, and I was really... It actually, like, inspires me when people come out and you could totally feel the air of, like, arrogance and elitism. Like, it's really thick when, like, you talk to some of them, and then you have to start mingling, and then you start seeing the backstabbing and the gossiping, and I admit I love it, which is why I got into it. But, I mean, it's not me. Like, I couldn't do that by myself. It really does take, like, a network of people to create that atmosphere.
Only in Guild Wars 2 would you hear this. It's fantastic to hear the air of elitism. Only in this game would you hear that in a positive way. This is what I love about the roleplay community here. It's just these little things, and it's fantastic setting. I mean, I'm playing a somewhat anti-noble character. Well, fallen noble, to be sure. So, I mean, I'd love to turn up, but unfortunately my character would probably just turn his nose and walk away, but it's just, the setting itself just sounds so, well, just perfect for RP. It's the proper noble system, the widest smile hides the sharpest knives sort of thing, which I think is fantastic.
Yeah, I really like that about it, that, everybody, because you look for drama, and it's a really great excuse to, have the drama without everybody necessarily fighting, because everybody's smiling while they do it.
Oh god, this is the precise reason as to why my character left the noble circuit, because everyone's just smiling all the time about it. If you're gonna, this is why I've got the whole premise of this character, that if he doesn't like someone, he'll tell them. He hates people just smiling about it. It's creepy.
Now you gotta play the game.
See, this is what I mean. Playing the game of nobility, blue bloods, eye roll. But yes, moving on from here, you as a player now, what is your active character background in all this?
Like I said, I'm new to MMOs. I've only played 2 other ones. I'm not really good at lore per se, so I normally play a very naive character as an excuse to say, oh, well, I didn't know about that, or I can make really stupid comments because I've already built in my excuse that way, and that's what I do for every game, which is kind of hilarious. And then I purposely like to play ditzy characters for that reason too. I mean, about myself, what else would you like to know?
Well, in particular games in the past. I mean, you mentioned a few already. I mean, were any of those responsible directly for your interest in RP? Because a few people have mentioned they've always been on the outskirts, or maybe their friends were in it. And how about you? I mean, how did you get into this murky depths we call the roleplay community?
Oh, I actually started role-playing 12 years ago on email games, play-by emails is what they were called, and I used to play the Pern games. They were, really popular. So I did that for probably 8 years or so, and then I did a little bit of forums, and I just started playing MMOs randomly one day a couple of years ago, and I saw that they are RPing, and honestly, it really just drew me in, and then I became addicted, and now it's ruined my life.
See, this is what we say. Once you're in, there's no way out. It's, first rule of the roleplay community. If you don't talk about it, you don't admit it.
To be honest, though, one thing I hate about MMO role-playing, though, is when I used to play on forums or via, email, I feel like you had to be so much more descriptive because there wasn't the scenery and you couldn't see the other person's characters. And one thing I hate is I feel like nobody ever describes their characters because you're like, oh, you can see me. Or how I hate having to move my character around all the time, which sounds stupid. But I'm I don't want to deal with, trying to sit in a stupid chair. Can't I just write? I'm sitting in a chair and then I'm more concerned with the text than what's going on.
I'm the exact same way. I am, first and foremost, a forum RPer, and people in that guild will poke me about that. It's I don't just write an RP post. I write a wall of text, and I'm incredibly restrictive. I like to think, at least. Tooting my own horn there a bit there. Ooh, sound of arrogance, whistling in the wind. But yes, it's just the fact that I'm very colourful in my characters, and especially my current one, Gabriel. It's all about being dramatic. I mean, expensive clothing, sprawled across sofas.
I feel like it's made me really lazy because, you get, the other thing I hate, too, is when you try to type in the emote channel, you have to start off with a verb, more or less, because you have to type, your /E verb
yes.
And then finish your sentence. And you get stuck. You don't realize it, but you get stuck, saying the same exact things all the time or starting off with the same sentences.
I know. I know what you mean. I mean, I do like explaining the surroundings, the little nuances, the little tells you can do with the character, and I do try my best to put that in game. But of course, it's quite hard. I mean, I've gotten lounging on seats somewhat down to an art form now. I mean, I know there's literally, this is such an odd thing to say. I know some chairs I can sit in. Only in Guild Wars 2 would you ever hear anyone saying that. I know a few chairs I can sit in, they're my chairs. But no, it's just the way they're angled or something makes it look at least partly realistic. And, there has to be some willingness on the part, the RP partner's part of just, willing the suspense of disbelief, that kind of thing. Because, like I say, my own character, for example, sprawl across sofas, smoke smoke colourful cigarettes that like bellow violet smoke and all sorts, and he's usually half naked or something because he doesn't bother getting dressed properly. So it's just these little things which unfortunately just can't be done in game, and it's always a shame. But that's why I'm always back at forum, or there's some nice emotes here and there usually suffice in game. But I know where you're coming from, and I feel the exact same way, frankly.
Yeah, well, at least we're in agreement there. Honestly, a lot of times when I RP, I prefer to RP one-on-one, and a lot of the times, I'll just go sit somewhere ridiculous too, like on a table or on a fence or something. I mean, like, ignore that. All I care about from here on out is like what we're talking about, and I'm not gonna mess with my character or like making sure we're moving from room to room. No, like I don't do that at all one-on-one. So probably a disclaimer to any future RP.
I mean, I try to move around a bit, mostly because, is it just me that when you're in the middle of an RP, all of a sudden it says, and it's going to disconnect you in 30 seconds?
Yeah, that is really annoying.
It's like, typing apparently is not doing it. It's like, well, I'm clearly in your game, socializing if I'm typing. Surely there's some way they could have said, typing, no need to disconnect. But no, it's like, I'm in the middle of an RP, then all of a sudden I have to jump up and down like a madman. Because one jump doesn't do it. I mean, I've been in the middle of an RP, really crucial moment. I've moved around, stood up, scrambled around a little, sat back down, and the game instantly kicked me. And it's like, god damn it, it's just the little nuances. I mean, it's a little pet peeve. Everything else around Guild Wars really got me happy, but the lack of certain emote options, the chat options as well, is terrible. The fact you can only have one guild chat is a bit annoying because, like you said, if you want event plans, it'd be good to have like one for social, one for general talking, one for in-character, and like one for events, which would be like a lifesaver in itself. But I mean, I guess we can only poke them until they add it, really, because they seem pretty proactive with the community.
Yeah, I think in general most of it's gone pretty well. The thing that bothers me most is the limit towards how many people you can see their emote, because I don't understand. I mean, I know they're trying to like reduce the stress on the server, but at the same time it like really screws up my events.
Well, I guess it does make so much sense in your instance, at least, but you got to think from other sides. I mean, what makes me laugh is the fact that Say has less range than emote. I mean, like I've said in previous podcasts, it's never failed to amuse me when I'm walking down the street that I randomly get people like random emotes. Like, I'm a mile away from the tavern and I can hear someone sitting down. Apparently, it's like, dear God, I'm Spider-Man or something. My senses are tingling.
Say did used to project to the entire zone, so just remember they did shorten the range for.
Oh God! Sat in the, standing amongst the mountains away from civilization, and Frank has just sat down in the chair and looks lazily over the bar. Wait, what? Just looking around like what? But yeah, so I can understand. But in the case of events, I can understand why you made the guild premise, because to my mind at least, that sounds good, because you could just open a tab and just check the events for the day, which I guess makes sense when it comes down. So the guild thing was a good option by your group to do, because it's the case of, what's going on? Oh, check out the guild. Oh, that's happening. Which I got to admit, that's fantastic. But I guess it must be very annoying to try and broadcast to a community as large as yours, frankly, that something's going on. I mean, how do you advertise? Forum-based, or do you rely on PMs even?
It's almost sickening. I still do. I advertise on 4 different forums. I send about 70 in-game mail invitations. Personally, like with, written invitations in game, so like people receive them ICLA, so they like can't say, I don't have a reason to go there. It's like, no, you got an invitation, you should come to the event. And then I have like a lot of networks that I use, and I try to advertise stuff as much as possible. And then when it actually comes to, say I'm doing an event and I need people to join the guild, that's so incredibly hard because people show up randomly to the event. A lot of the times, all these people, there's no way I can possibly know all the people that show up to the event. So, the event starts, nobody shows up on time. You just know if the event starts at 8, everybody's going to be there at 8:15. I don't know why our peers do that. They just do. So everybody shows up at 8:15. Then they want to RP, but you can't see everybody say an emote. So I have to try to invite. Seriously, my one event I had to invite 50 people to the guild. Then several people had invitation issues. And then, did you know that 50 was the cap for the guild? But I had to have at least 32 people on to expand the guild, so that was a mess. So I could only have 50 people then, and I'm trying to, message everybody. And then all the while, I'm trying to announce and say, and I announce and emote, for people to join the guild if they want to see what's going on in RP. So it's like a complete nightmare to organize these things sometimes.
Clear love and dedication for your work is quite evident now. I can say that much.
Yeah, I try to put what's coming up in my guild chat in the message of the day just to give people an incentive. They don't have to stay. I would never penalize anybody for not staying in the event guild, but I try to put the events in the actual guild chat or in the message of the day so that, if they stay in, they can always just switch the tab, look at, what's coming up so they're always clued in. That way it will just, I'm hoping it will help save me an extra 20 invites, the day of the event.
God, that must take so much time, and I have instant respect for you because of that. And moving on quickly, because we could go on for ages. Any particular favorite RP moments in this flurry of RP events that you call a lifestyle?
1 week I was going to do something really casual. I thought about this question beforehand. And so we were going to do a really casual garden event, and everything was going fine. Like 45 minutes into the event, everybody got a mysterious, anonymous mail that said there's a murderer at the event and somebody's coming to kill you. So maybe 15 people got messages saying that there was a murderer coming to kill him, and everybody starts freaking out, and I had no idea what was going on. This was probably my 5th event, and everybody starts messaging me saying, oh my god, there's a murderer, who's gonna die? And I'm trying to figure out what's going on, and then in the middle of the event, somebody drops dead. And I was just like, what is going on? That was probably the craziest night so far.
Ladies and gentlemen, Guild Wars 2. This is the kind of stuff that happens, and isn't it fun? I assume it was a successful event. Did you like that sort of thing happening? Well, it's your favourite, so I can only assume that it was good.
Admittedly, at the moment, I was really stressed out because I put so much work into these. So, it kind of felt like somebody had hijacked something. But
that must be a worry.
Yeah, in the grand scheme of things, as long as they, had told me what was going on, I would have been completely okay with it. But it just was confusing because all of the letters were anonymous, so I couldn't even figure out who was doing it. So that was the frustrating part.
Oh, that must be annoying. But panicking, how panicking? Are we talking nobles that know how to look after themselves? Are we talking about fluttery, oh god, what are we going to do? Hopefully the peasants won't uprise sort of nobles.
Probably the worst thing about nobles, though, is when something goes down, they all start leaving the event. I've noticed this. We've had a murder and we've had a robbery, and the nobles are just like, fuck this, and they just start leaving. Everybody's leaving the event. So that is not good. That is probably a takeaway that I've learned.
See, I'm terrible. I just have an instant thought of my own character. The first thing you'd do is just pull out his gun. Someone's going to murder me? Hell, I'll murder them too. It's very stereotypical and simple. I know it must sound a bit corny, but yeah, that sounds. It must be quite ripe for opportunities considering the amount of events you hold. I can only imagine what you get up to.
Yeah, I always have, what's really great is people are always messaging me with event ideas, and I keep a running list of, things that I'm interested in doing or, talking about, or, we have a little mini forum that we use to develop the ideas to try to see how we can make them work, because it's not only, getting the idea, but it's how are you going to make the idea work for the event, because if you have 100 people, how are you going to make sure that they're all able to participate? How are you going to make sure they all understand what's going on? So much chat scroll going on, or limited range, or are you going to use the guild, are you not going to use the guild, how are you going to coordinate it, is there going to be a fight, how are you going to determine who wins, how are you going to stop drama? There's so many things that go into planning the events, so it really is a combination of great ideas, and also there's a lot of planning that goes into it.
And leading this into the next question then, I'm assuming you don't consider yourself a light RPer. Here's a wild guess from me right now. You're not. I suppose you don't classify yourself as a light RPer. Maybe medium, heavy. How do you see yourself?
I kind of see myself as medium, honestly. I'm not really big into lore, and normally I'm a really big raider, but just for this particular game, there's not a lot of in-game. I know that sounds awful, too, but I really don't consider myself one of those, crazy obsessed role players, and I'm also, kind of private, so I don't know. I guess I'd need better definitions of what each of the categories are.
Well, you do it for your own enjoyment at the end of the day. That's the only classification I have. You do it for fun, but, don't go... well, how do I best put it? It's just... There are levels of, commitment you're willing to make at the end of the day, isn't there? Because your own time, your own tastes... you're holding events. So it clearly shows you have a great interest in the game and role-playing it out, so... Sounds good to me.
There are definitely times, though, I log on and I'm just, I just want to chat with people or hang out or just talk. I don't want anybody to feet with me. I just want to go explore or do crafting or something else, because sometimes you do need a break too.
Oh yeah, I mean, I do that myself too. I mean, I ended up playing stuff like Chivalry recently. just because it's like, I could go a game, but I do need a bit of a break or something, so I'll go around lopping heads off in some medieval simulator, also known as the shouting simulator, due to the massive abuse of the shout button. Literally, you go in the game, you get deafened within the first few minutes. Medieval psychological warfare, ladies and gentlemen. But yeah, moving on from that, the fact you described your character as the Paris Hilton of the sort of nobility world, I was surprised of that, because I've never met any characters like that before, so it's fantastic to see some originality and stuff like that. So, what would you say sets your character apart from everyone else you've met in the community so far?
To be honest, I have no idea what the fascination is with my character. I know the first event I had to say, like, people lined up to meet me and say hello, and they were like, I probably had to say hello, how are you, 50 times that night. And I don't get it. I don't know if it's like, I just try to be really open. I try to say hello to everybody. I really go out of my way to learn people's names and to talk to them one-on-one as best that I can. And I don't know if that's it, or if people just like the events, or what it is, but there's definitely like this sort of cult that I don't know how it happened.
Well, you're a celebrity in your own right. You're the member that hosts all these things. You're the event planner. I guess it just comes naturally in this sort of nobility setting that, everyone knows her. She holds the grand events. Anybody who's anybody knows her. It's very socialite sort of setting, and I can imagine that is probably reflected in your character quite well, because after all, who turns up to a party and doesn't know the hostess? It's just not done within proper society, as they say. But I'll stop before I get any more British.
But, I was so impressed that people were like, well, I need to say hello to her before I leave, or I need to say, hello to her, or give the hostess a gift, or just thank her for inviting me. I was so impressed with how polite people were, honestly, when nobody knew me those first few weeks.
It's all etiquette, darling, etiquette. You're in the noble circle. I would expect this more than anything else, so I can understand that it must have been overwhelming to begin with, like you said.
I just wasn't expecting it. Everybody's been really supportive. I think people like just the proactivity of it, they can rely on having something to go to every week. I'm not sure if that's it, or I mean, everybody's just been really great and supportive, and there have been events that we've done that have been train wrecks, and everybody's still been really good at support about it.
Oh, well, it happens. I mean, nothing's perfect in the day, and clearly a lot of effort goes into this, and I have to agree about the fact that you could have all these noble families, and you could have all these really good dynamic sort of characters, but if there wasn't some sort of common goal or some common event to attend, I don't think it would be as good. Because frankly, if these people can't mingle in a practical setting without resort, well, frankly, you're not expecting the head of a noble family to be found in a tavern, the stereotypical place you go for RP. So the event itself, I think, is a fantastic tool to allow groups to mingle, even get people from different guilds. Because, like you said, it's more of a community and event players. I mean, I learnt of high society through the Ashenfold, just because one of our the leader of the Crown, Doxa, was attending one of the events, and it resulted in my character even being propositioned for a drug deal by one of the noble houses. Hush, 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 hush. Because of course, as everybody knows, no one's angel upon the throne, is there? Why the smile sharp as knives, etc., etc. So it was good to see that not only was the community mingling, but both sides of the world, there were other people that are very upstanding, proper, and yet there's the other side that are approaching people like me for drug shipments. So it's a wonderful mingle, and I could not express how delighted I am to see what you're doing, frankly.
Yeah, I really am against those kinds of things where they say, this is our area, only nobles are in, or, we're claiming this are only who we say can go in. From the start, I wanted to make sure it was real open and make sure that, we're not I never tried to claim an area for myself. I would never kick anybody out of the event. And I just think it's unrealistic to try to move a character you can't physically move anyways. So I don't deal with that at all. I try to make it really accepting. So, Char, Norn, anybody's allowed in. And I don't think that there's that stigma of, these are only the posh people or something allowed, even though it's kind of out there, but it's not really.
Yeah, oh yeah, of course. I mean, the elitist there when it comes down to it. And plus, there's always going to be some characters that are elitist because with such a wide variety of characters, there's bound to be one. It's only good a mix of characters at the end of the day. You need spice for something to taste good, if you know what I mean. So, moving on to the actual high society in general, then moving away from you, so we can actually get to grips with the actual concept. Now, for the sake of my listeners and myself, because I do take steps, so I'm suitably ignorant for the event, so you can talk to me like I were a babe to give me all the details. So, first and foremost, what is the high society?
It's a social network. I kind of had the idea of more basing it off a Facebook kind of thing where people just know each other. It's more like a who's who sort of deal, and you don't join the high society, you get invited. So if you come to the events, if you were somebody that becomes well known, you can get invited into the high society to help plan future events. But otherwise, it's just a group that throws parties, and they're kind of the elite society of the group. But it's very what I want to say, fluid. It doesn't have a structure.
It's a community at heart, I suppose, a roleplay community. It houses all these people and gives them the tools and the events to have good dynamic RP at the end of the day. That's what I see it as, and I could be wrong, of course, but as far as I can see, I just see a fantastic source of roleplay, really.
It's crazy because there's no structure, there's no hierarchy, there's no guild even. It's literally just networking with people, writing letters, checking in with people, spreading the word, gossiping, honestly. That's all it is, and somehow it works, and somehow we've been really good at what we've been doing. There's no list anywhere of who's in it or anything. It's somewhat secretive because it's more of an idea than a thing.
Frankly, very, very realistic to the true thing, really. I mean, there's no hierarchy within noble society. Sure, there's people of greater standing, but that's down to individuals role-playing. But, frankly, it just sounds very, I keep using the word, dynamic. It just sounds like it flows together nicely, that it gossips like a real society, there's invitations like a real society, it's all about the individuals and dedicating the time and out-character and in-character. It just sounds like a gorgeous concept.
I'm actually going to be hopefully sending out a couple of new invitations shortly. We had one of our members died, ICly, and we didn't really have that many to begin with. So I'm hoping that now that people have gotten themselves a little bit more established, we're going to start sending out a couple more invites, so it will get a little bit bigger, but not too much. Because that would defeat the whole point. It's not supposed to be about who's in it and who's not. It's just the people that are in it are the ones that just help develop the ideas. That's all.
Which brings me on to the next line of question. I was going to ask you, is it a guild or a community? But you've more than answered that by now. And, we've hammered the idea home, I think. So, one of my main questions now really is, what do you do? I mean, I've heard of you mentioned before NGO. Did I mishear that? What is that, if I've got it right?
As it's been explained to me, I didn't come up with the idea. I think Sin actually mentioned he came up with the idea. It's a non-guild organization, so it's just a collection of people, but it's not something official where it's formally organized, if I've gotten that correctly.
Can I, since I remember pitching it back in, what was it, March or something, the idea was based upon the concept of having, because there's guilds and they're unrelated, is that an NGO represents kind of something like, this is a group of crafters, this is a group of merchants. It's the idea of creating a base organization to provide a connection of RP, but not creating all of the social rules and all of the RP rules. Basically, you don't form a guild, and a guild is a group of people united under a common philosophy RP. That is basically the simplest way of defining a guild. Whereas an NGO, like the high society, and let me be honest, an NGO is not a warband. People role-playing warband, that's not an NGO, that's a guild. You create a warband, you create a specific group of people, that's not an NGO. Well, as long as it remains open to the community, open to members, even my House of Mall, even though it's a noble house, we perform for people, we participate with people. I would say Erikah has the best example of a community NGO, and I'm going to plug the High Society here, not just as the guild leader of AC, but also because I highly respect what she's doing. And I have to say that if you want an example of what an NGO is and how open they're supposed to be, High Society is right up there. I do believe, though, that there are some basis for joining it ideally, but the working with it OOCally is open.
We're actually expanding it a little bit too, such that sort of expanding on the idea of networking. So we've developed these lists internally, more or less. So I keep ridiculous amounts of spreadsheets. I'm an accountant in real life, so I freaking love Excel. Like, it's my best friend. So I have, like, crazy amounts of lists of things. And so I've begun, because so many people reach out to me with ideas and things that they want to do. So I have lists of people who are performers, and Sin's group is going to be helping us out next week. So if anything comes up and I need performers, I can go to my list, look at all the people that have volunteered, contact those people, hire them for that particular event. I have a catering list, a food list, a security list, just all these different roles that could be filled. So it's more like a contract arrangement where you are only committed to that one night, and then you can get involved with more events if you want. If more things come up for your character, I will reach out to you and bring you in. And my idea is just to, like, it's very non-committal, too. Like, if you don't want to come that week, you don't have to come that week. If you're busy or you don't want to work with high society or do events anymore, that's completely fine, too. But just for organizational purposes, we have that aspect of it as well.
Well, there we go. We got a pimp list, pimping list of opportunities and places that just feed the whole wonderfully. Like I say, you just got to have some Alpha entertainers or whoever else you need for the occasion, which is fantastic because it's just such a gorgeous premise of, or frankly, just natural RP. It's the way that a real high society would work. They'd have contacts, like we know these people who cook really well. We know these people are very good entertainers. It's just how it's done. And it's again, I again can plug the high society myself. Again, just saying it just sounds like a gorgeous concept, and clearly it's been executed quite well because you've got quite the following.
The reason I started doing that is because a lot of people will say to me, well, I'm not a noble. I'm not going to go to a masquerade ball. And I'll say, well, what do? You're a soldier? Okay, well, I could use a guard because at this particular event, we're going to get robbed. That's my plot for the evening. So I need your character, actually. Or, they don't want to go to things because I understand that. People have different kinds of characters. So, try to give them reasons to come and be involved.
Which, again, fantastic. So, any scope for the future, or are you just going to keep going doing what you're doing?
I'd really like to expand the network because I didn't have all these rules before, so that's something that's brand new. We're having a really big event tomorrow that I've been planning the entire month, and we're going to be throwing a pageant coming up in November. I wanted to do some campaign events. We have tons of things that I'm always working on. I know it doesn't seem like that because I try to keep the community focused on only what's going on because they don't need to be confused with everything that's going to be coming up. But the eventual plan is, it didn't start this way, I don't know how it happened, but I just want to keep doing the server events. I would like to be the thing that people go to on Saturday nights. So, it was never my intention when I started it. Honestly, I said, screw it, I want to go to something. I'm going to throw a party this Saturday, and it just ended up becoming this, and I don't know how it happened, but it's awesome.
You became the party girl.
Yeah. Literally, I was like, my first week playing, I said, screw it, I'm throwing a party on Saturday, and the one thing I love about Guild Wars is it was so easy to find all the people that I've known from other games because they just look up my character because she has the same name. And it's been so easy to find everybody because the way their friend system works, no matter what character you're on, you can still find that person. And so that's really helped me a lot with networking, too.
Sounds fantastic. And which begs the question, is there a list of these NGO societies? I've, during the course of RP, I've ended up on sites looking over house names and, what's involved. People have actually taken the time to actually put up names of houses, who's in it, that kind of thing, just for the sake of, this is what we do. Is there any solid website with a list of these things people can enter, or is it just more free-form, do what you do?
I primarily use GuildWars2roleplayers.com, and they do have a specific forum thread there for NGOs to advertise and recruit people. I admit I neglect mine more or less because, like I said, it's really small. I probably have the smallest NGO, ironically, because I really don't have a lot of people officially in it, but at the same time, it's also somewhat the biggest.
Oh yeah, it's like you and your own. It's like, well, you've got the actual high society, and so it's more, like you said, it's more a community rather than a solid one in itself, isn't it? So it's again, I can't stress this enough. It just sounds fantastic. Makes me tempted to put something up because, like I said, I think the family lines. I'm seeing a lot of that recently, and I do love reading about it because everyone likes a good juicy story when it comes down to the noble families. the two at the head of the house, the kids, that kind of thing, Ascension. I mean, what got me as well is in some societies, I've actually seen people saying, we're advertising, you can be anything from a sworn sword, a chef, to even a bastard. And it says underneath brackets, if you're legitimized. Which I think is fantastic. They're even going into the different roles that you can be related to a family, but be a bastard of it. And it's just the fact that they went to that such detail, which I find fantastic.
Yeah, I feel awful because I have a noble that's not in a noble house. I just didn't want to get caught up in all of the drama fighting between houses, because I thought it would take away from my NGO's purpose and, ambition.
Oh, yeah, well, you're the socialite, aren't you? You're the person that just... Well, you throw the parties. Why would you get involved in all that mess? You got parties to throw.
Did Sin want to speak, I think?
I was just going to make a comment that technically in Terraria, the concept of house doesn't exist. It's been completely player created, but it's gotten kind of crazy. I mean, I think on a side note, I want to mention this since I actually spent 3 to 4 hours with Toxa, Sonder, and even Adam. And we have actually mapped out, I think, the relation of 3 or 4 of the 5 of the cartel's current NGO families to each other. I can tell you how Joe is related to Toxa, or how the current ruler of House Balatian is related to Toxa.
Inbreeding.
It's not inbreeding, it's just a very elaborate family tree that we've constructed via something called Family Echo. And I'm trying to get some money to myself, and apparently I can't put money into my bank.
Dun.
That's gonna sound awful, but the reason I don't like the houses is because I feel like they're very cliquish. Would you guys agree with that, or no?
Depends on which house.
Yeah, so I was
guess
thinking, it
that's true.
depends on the actual group of role players when it comes down to it. Most I've seen are very warm and welcoming. I mean, there's one that says, the ultimate prerequisite I've seen is just one that said we need Canthons because it's a Canthan house. And that makes perfect sense, though. I mean, you're not, you're not going to have a purebred Canthan house with a random Kryta in the middle. It'll just look completely out of place. But apart from that, I mean, most communities I've seen are very warm and welcoming about that thing. I mean, like I said, hell, you could join one of the families as a bastard, which I thought was fantastic. I mean, hell, I'd love to start a NGO maybe someday and just have the Belmont family because just from a little bit of RP I've done, I've got one person who's willing to roleplay a cousin, the other one wants to play my character's sister. And from that, we ended up talking and ended up coming up with this backstory of the family, which I could easily put up. And the way my character lives his life, I think the majority of the house will just be, "Are you a bastard of this man?" Because he's not a saint by any accounts.
I guess I have a fear of commitment. I just don't like to get trapped into roles or you're part of this group, we're not part of this group kind of division. I know I'd be scarred from other MMOs in that aspect, but that's why I've been scared of it.
I mean, I would ask then if you feel like you've suffered by the lack of that, having a community around you, but that answers itself because you're running the high society. So by saying that, I've answered my own question. You seem very comfortable with what you're doing and how you're doing it.
I have no idea why. I much wing it every week too. I'm just making this up as I go along.
It works, darling. What's more to say?
I think part of it too is, a lot of the times that 30 minutes before the event where nobody's there and you're kind of freaking out and you're people start asking me, "Oh my gosh, is anybody gonna come? What if this is awful? What if everybody hates it?" You kind of have to be you don't give a shit, really, because I really don't care if anybody doesn't show up, because you have to get over that fear of, I'm going to do it anyways. If people want to come, they'll come, but if they don't want to come, I have to not be insecure and, afraid to do it or try things. That robbery event that I threw a couple weeks ago, I knew it was going to be taking a risk. I knew it was going to be really messy, but, you can't be afraid to just, put yourself out there. And it's scary sometimes because you know that everybody's watching you, and you know that everybody knows you, and if you mess up, it's on you, and, you might lose people coming to your events, but at the same time, you gotta do it.
I like to think people would be reasonable with that fact. I mean, like you said, you've planned these events, you're making the effort. I mean, just because a few mistakes are made here and there, well, not even mistakes, just common thing. Well, things go wrong at the end of the day. You can't change that. So I'd hardly see it as a reason just to leave. Just because of that. It's but the community in itself is such a rich opportunity to socialize and do all these different things. And people's role-playing houses to mingle, to actually feel they feel like they are nobles. That's the big thing. Rather than walking around nose in the air saying, "Oh, I'm a noble, everyone else is peasants," sort of thing. It's actually there is a society. There is the blue bloods. There are people that have these claims and are socializing amongst themselves because that's what the elite do.
I don't know. I just try to feel like I think the reason that people come back is because they have a good time, and I try to do events where you're not going to like sit and watch something. You're going to be participating somehow or mingling with people. I don't know. I just like, I try to really put myself out there so that like people, if they like it, then they'll coming back. But then when you have those messes or if it doesn't go right, then you kind of do take that risk that they're not going to come, they're not going to put their faith in you to like keep committing to coming to everything if you aren't doing like a high quality event every time.
Yeah, well, I can understand, but well, you seem to be doing pretty damn well so far.
Thank you.
And moving on into the next segment, I mean, now this is a very odd segment we've talked about earlier, and that is, so I can pretty much guess what the answer is going to be. Was there ever going to be a fear or perhaps any sort of element of guild conflict with a guild, or even us, for example? Would the high society be seen as a threat or even an ally? I mean, what about that with any other guild, not just us? Was there any sort of premise of that, or was it always just going to be a community thing and just going to stay away from that?
I get approached in a scary number of times that people want to like rob the nobles, kill the nobles, enslave the nobles. I get asked all the time if I can gather all of the nobles together so that they can somehow torture them. So a couple of weeks ago, I finally agreed and let them rob the nobles, and it was interesting. And I think that a lot of people liked it because it gave them something to talk about, which is really important. Like I want people to leave and then like they talk about it with each other, or like they're all gossiping. Exactly. So that was a really important step for me. I wish it would have possibly been more, but it's really hard because there were so many logistical issues when you bring in an actual group that has like the way that they do things and their leader, and then you're like clashing for leadership and whatnot. So I don't know if guild stuff is really going to be something that we continue with necessarily.
Oh, yeah, it's understandable when it comes down to it, especially in a robbery scenario, because someone might fight back, and then you've got the whole premise of there is no dice system in game to establish if someone's won doing something. You know, the whole sort of, I reach for your gun, oh, I pull out my sword sort of thing. Because that must make things
about that, Gabe. We actually have a dice room that we set up, which I think Ashenfold will be more than willing to let people go on, and you can roll public dice with people there. That's actually how we do combat.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Should we put a link in the video? We can do something like that.
I'll link it. Yeah, I'll link it in the video. I just wanted to bring that up because we actually found a D20 system that one of our members found a while ago, and that we were like, oh, this is awesome.
All hail the D20, the one that's rules the fate
to the
every day. Yes, exactly. Anyone who's a tabletop role player will know that dice it controls your life, and everyone else knows the D4 cries itself to sleep. Unless you're a barbarian, then the dice loves you. Random little tabletop joke there. But anyway, moving on from that, I mean, well, frankly, there's not going to be any major. You've already explained. There's never going to be any major conflict, but rather you might hire people. Like you say, you might have a list of people like, oh, I need to stage a robbery. Oh, this guild's good for that. I assume it's like that, isn't it? It's like I know a group of people that can do this if needs be, and it's all about getting to know each other and just establishing that, I assume.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that it's what's crazy about the high society is like if my character has something going on, like she didn't give up on the robbers. She's still trying to arrest them or bring them to justice, but it doesn't affect the actual society. Like they can keep going on and doing their thing, and nobody has to get involved with that continuation. So like there's still things that are happening, and what I really like is like everybody that was at that event, there were people who messaged me afterwards, and that turned into their own stories as well. So like people are still doing their own thing concerning that, and it started from there. And so like I feel like we're more like a starting point for things to happen, because a lot of people message me and they say, hey, tonight I met a mentor and now I'm going to become working on my training to become an elementalist, or tonight I met this person and now I joined their guild. Like people meet each other at my events, and then it turns into other things for them personally.
Yeah, which again, like I said, it's fantastic. It's just the premise that these sort of things wouldn't happen unless you were planning them. So all I can say on behalf of the community at large is thank you, because that's fantastic. I mean, giving people the environment to do all this, and of course all the work you put in and everyone else puts into it. It's fantastic. It's like I almost imagine it's like ripples in the pond. Something's going on. It's a pool. A nice perfect pool, and then a little event causes ripples in the pool, and all the other guilds or societies react because of it, creating a real society in itself, which is just fantastic. I know I keep saying this, and I must be sounding so pampering, but it's just true. I just think it's a fantastic concept.
Thank you. I mean, it's not me either. Like, a lot of people, they'll message me and they're like, oh man, the greatest thing happened today, and I left your event, and then I got mugged, and then this happened, and I'm like, that wasn't me. Like, I hope, like, the community realizes, like, I didn't do that. That was the players doing that. Like, you guys come up with this stuff. I'm just facilitating. Like, I just gave you the chance to meet each other, and that's really it.
You're the reason why everything happened.
People message me like, oh man, my character got murdered after your event. Thanks a lot.
God damn it, man. Why do I have to be murdered? It's all your fault.
Just said that. You just sat there reading me. Cool story, bro. I didn't do anything, but cool story.
I mean, I like hearing, like, what people do, because I'm glad to know that, like, they are getting involved, because none of this works if, like, people don't talk to each other. Like, a lot of the times our peers say, oh, I don't have anything going on, I sit on the street by myself and nobody talks to me, and it's like, you have to go out and do stuff. You have to come to the events if you want things to happen. Like, it doesn't just magically happen. You guys have to, like, talk and interact.
Oh yeah, I've always gone by that premise just simply on the fact that, I don't approach a random character walking in the street. I just assume they're either typing or AFK. You have to go to locations. Exactly. You got to do stuff. Have some fun. But I got to mention this. I mean, we can go over the hour a bit because it's too damn fun. And it's well, frankly, I'm surprised about the anti-noble presence being so strong. I mean, my character's not a fan of nobles, but he's a blue blood himself. But he's just sarcastic, but he just doesn't socialise with them. But instead, I've met quite a few characters who are very much down with the gentry. I've got my tax money right here, my lord, kind of characters, and it's like, what's with all the hatred? People love hating on the nobility.
I think it's hilarious.
Especially since they're actually not even feudal nobles. They have, like, really, if you really think about it, if they didn't have their money, they have literally no power. The only thing that nobles really have in Kryta is expanded judicial rights and control over the ministry guard. And even then, a majority of nobles aren't actually ministers. Ministers are elected, So it's like, they're not really that powerful. They represent, like, these old blood or rich families. That's all really who they are,
Yeah, that's why I don't quite get it. Because, like I said, my character is fully aware of that and therefore doesn't go over the top. But I've met people that you think they were charging through their homes, raping their daughters and then asking for tax money for the privilege. It just doesn't happen. I mean, sure, there's a few people playing elitist, but no one's riding through burning and pillaging. It's not a feudal thing. This is like, I think the Guild Wars is mostly, I could be wrong here, but mostly the premise is like late industrial / fantasy. So the society itself is very, like, there's an elite, but there's not really there's no power behind it, really. I mean, sure, a person born a street rat is not, politically speaking, is not powerful as a noble or wealthy, but there's no big power difference at the end of the day.
See, to me, like, one thing that I like about it, too, is if you want to become someone important, like, you have to earn it. Like, you can't just say you're the rich person. Like, one thing I like about the society is you have to, like, prove yourself every week, sort of, with, like, talking to people, socializing with people, and I feel like people will rise to power more naturally this way, if that makes sense.
I like that myself. I mean, my own character, for example, very dandyish, very flamboyant, and it's through RP that he's got a reputation now. And strip away the bare bones, he's no one of real power, but it's through the community and the actual guild that my character now has some, like, there's actually weight to his words now. I mean, strictly speaking, it's nothing. He doesn't have any weight when it comes to the noble world, but when it comes to stuff like the underworld, he's got his dealers, he's got his thugs. He has some sort of weight to his voice. But that's purely within the community, and it's fantastic to roleplay because I've earned it. I have to enforce it. It's not just, oh, I was born in this position. It's like you actually have to prove yourself, which makes everything a little more just realistic. I mean, for example, I mean, one of the most hated things I've seen are people that come in just claiming they're princesses and stuff like that, which I know is a pet peeve of a few people in this podcast I've seen before.
Yeah, I've seen that, and I really hoped that when I came in, I really wanted to try to like earn my title more so than just say, oh yeah, everybody knows me or something. So that's another reason too why I like try to go out and earn it. I don't just say it.
Yeah, I mean, you've gone out there and you've literally made a name for yourself, and the fact that people are coming to you and thanking you for all this stuff and just like, all I did was arrange the event is proof of that in itself.
Well, even Nia, like, because my particular character is really based off, like, oh, everybody knows me. You don't know who Erikah is? You must be new around here. Like, that's, like, her attitude. So I try to really, like, make it actual. It's not just, like, me bullshitting everybody.
See, now I've got that sort of meme stuck in my head. Damn Willy Wonka just leaning. You must be new around here. You don't know who I am. Damn it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty playful like that too. I think I joke around a lot, so I kind of am an obnoxious character. So, but I mean, that's who I am too. I just like to it's really fun to be like a jerk on the internet.
Oh, I know the feeling. I know the feeling. I mean, hell, my character refers to himself as king because the rank he owns is King of the Rats, which, if you read into the guild laws, basically just means he's a legate of the thugs. So he claims he's a king, just for the laughs.
Hail to the Rat King.
Yeah, exactly. It's a big joke.
The Script King?
That's it, the Script King. It's just...
The Script King?
Because it doesn't actually mean anything. He's not of any pure noble blood, but he's doing it for fun. Because he can be a jerk about it. I mean, for example, like if anyone like crosses the line with him, his like whole over dramatic reaction is off with their head, because that's what a king would do. But it's all just a big joke. It's for fun. It makes him laugh. That's the only reason he does it. And again, it's good to mess around. Having that sort of set. Especially when people are playing along with you and there's an understanding of just good quality RP. Frankly.
There have been some really bad consequences too that have been hilarious. Or just, like, bizarre things that I would have never expected. Like, last week, I was the officiant at a wedding, and I was like, my character's not a pastor. Why do you want her to marry you? And then she's like, well, everybody knows you. I just, you're a celebrity. You're going to marry my character. So I held a wedding last week. Or, like, for the longest time, I never have a date for any events because the guys are like, oh, well, we just assume that, you're unavailable. Yeah, they're like, you're out of our league. So that was definitely a con that I was like, well, shit. So that never happens either because everybody's like intimidated.
We hear that, ladies and gentlemen. Line up the streets. She'll be holding auditions.
I'm the first in line.
Yeah.
Everyone just walk into the room, strip naked. She'll expect all of you, and if you're good enough, she'll take you as a date. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. We've set it out.
And then, it's like, the other thing that's really cute is I have like several people who are just like fanboys or something, like this little club that they have, and they send me these letters and these gifts, and they're so adorable. I love it so much. I would have never expected that to happen either. So it's just like really cool stuff that happens to you.
Ladies and gentlemen, she has literally created. You've done it. You have literally created your own Paris. And you have a fan club. Your character has a fan club. That in itself is amazing.
I didn't even have to make a sex video.
Oh, God.
All the mesmers start playing it on Illusions.
There's still going to be one, though, right?
We'll see.
Can I be
You
in
guys
it?
should just start hosting Divinity Reach Inside. Tonight on Divinity Reach Insider, Erikah is found in the upper city.
Found passed out in the gallery making.
We should totally do that and put it on YouTube.
Oh my god, we should probably make that one of the special events or something for the podcast. So we'll get the sound effects in, everything, and we'll do a full-on news report.
I can even do the fake British accent, which sounds like it's from the BBC.
Oh god. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to have to bring this podcast to the close. As fun as it has been, and a fantastic shout out for the High Society. I'm now waving my arm to the right as if she was standing next to me. But, you get the point, ladies and gentlemen. You get the point, darlings. So all I can say is keep an eye out for the High Society. It's there. It's a fantastic dynamic tool, and I can only just encourage you more to get involved, have some fun, and just make use of what Erikah has made for the community. And I think she deserves all the praise for that, and all the people taking part in it, in turn, deserve praise for just going along and just having some damn good RP. So, any last words, ladies and gentlemen?
Erikah's mine.
So we're having a Halloween
Stalker.
party October 27th in Lions Arch near the beach. That's at 8 p.m. Eastern. And then we are having a pageant on November 10th at 8 p.m. Eastern. And more details will be posted about that on various forums. And if you're on my friends list or following me on in-game, then you will get invitations to all the events. So that's another good reason to hit me up in-game or join the guild in-game.
Oh god, we need to make Guild Wars Faceboard. It's like Facebook, but Guild Wars.
Let me guess.
Hashtag Erikah.
Oh god.
Quick note, House Amal is performing tomorrow at Erikah's party. Go see it.
Yeah,
Well, tomorrow after this recording, since this will probably go out in 2 weeks.
Hey, I try my best, damn it, and I will actually do my best to get this one done timely, because you've just named times and dates. So I will try my very best. A gentleman leisure has sworn as I lounge in front of my divan, which is a very important thing, don't worry. And so, ladies and gentlemen, on that note, I may have to bring us down to a close. It has been utterly charming to entertain you all once more. All I can wish you is a happy Halloween, and so, to celebrate, and also a happy Day of the Dead, because any excuse to party for my sake. So it's been lovely to see you all again, and thank you very much to our assorted guests and commentators. This has been the Ashencast, and me, your host, a gentleman of leisure. Who am I going to have next week? The hell I know. We're going to have some fun with it. So see you all next time.
When the devil is too busy and death's a bit too much, they call on me by name, you see, for my special touch. To the gentlemen, I'm misfortune. To the ladies, I'm surprise. But call me by any name, anyway, it's all the same. I'm the fly in your suit, I'm the pedal in your shoe, I'm the bee beneath your bed, I'm the bump on every head, I'm the heel on which you slip, I'm the pin in every head, I'm the thorn in your side, makes you wriggle and ride. And it's so easy when you're evil. This is the life you see, the devil tips his hat to me. I do it all because I'm evil, and I do it all for free. Your tears are all the pay I'll ever need. While there's children to make sad, while there's candy to be had, while there's pockets left to pick, while there's grannies left to trip down the stairs, I'll be there. I'll be waiting round the corner. I'm glad I'm in it, 'cause there's one phone every minute. And it's so easy when you're evil. This is the life you see, the devil tips his hat to me. I do it all because I'm evil, and I do it all for free. Your tears are all the pay I'll ever need. I pledge my allegiance to all things dark and I promise on my damned soul to do as I am told. Lord, is up to me. I do it all because I'm evil, and I do it all for free. Your tears are all the pay I'll ever need, and I do it all for free. Your tears are all the pay I'll ever need, and I do it all for free. Your tears are all the pay I'll ever need. It gets so lonely being evil. What I'd do to see a smile, even for a little while. And no one loves you when you're evil. I'm lying through my teeth. Your tears are all the